into it. Oh, you good?
Yeah, so we're gonna record this video. So if anybody wants to get back and talk to us, meet us, and discuss some of the stuff that we covered today, it's gonna be recorded.
Yeah, so the embalming machine was developed over the past 2.5 years. Took a long time, but it was worth it. There were a lot of kind of neat features and things that we want to achieve with the machine. A big thing that I noticed was a lack of what I would call insight and data in the embalming kind of procedure. And there wasn't really a machine or instruments available that provided that. So that was one of the design goals going into it, to provide insight, data, more information into the embalming procedure to make it so that you can use that information and ultimately, hashtag embalm better, kind of what we spread throughout the industry, or the profession. So yeah, about 2.5 years. A lot of testing. Again, we can do phenols, high index cavities in the machine. So a lot of thorough testing, third-party testing. It's CE certified, UTL certified. So yeah, it took a long time to develop, but very, very happy to be showing it off now. So I kind of went over that. Nelson, you want to go next one? Yeah, so again, why make a new embalming machine? We heard with our products, we've heard different company reps and things talk about how you can't, quote unquote, use silicone fluids in their machines, or maybe they say that the machine will be damaged if you use phenols or high index cavities. So one of the main things we wanted to do is get what we were referring to when we were designing it is no limits embalming. We wanted the embalmer to be able to use any chemical at their disposal, any manufacturer, any product. We didn't want to make a brand new machine and then have a kind of an asterisk on it and say, oh, you can't use phenols, or oh, you can't hypo with it. So again, these things that seem simple take a lot of hard work and time to develop and figure out. Again, I mentioned the insight and data, clearly readable flow, readable and controllable flow, readable and controllable pressure, also a neat temperature readout on there. So, and then I went with a really nice glass tank, which is borosilicate, which will not discolor or fade over time. So you're always going to have the view of the color of the solution that you're putting into the body as well. So color, temperature, flow, pressure, all of these things that you need to have, all these data points and insight that you're going to have, that you're going to be able to use to help you be a better embalmer. The top-down mixing, this was something that we have patented and something that was really hard to figure out. So we created in the hydraulic system, kind of in the casing of the machine, a diversion that then goes up to the top of the tank and kind of shoots out a spout. So while you inject, so we have a mix mode for pre-mixing when you're putting in your fluid at first, but also, and this, shout out to John Ligda, who kind of gave us this insight. He mentioned that it'd be really nice to be able to thoroughly mix while you inject. So while you're injecting, while you're going through midway through, let's say you feel the body, you're not liking the color, you're not liking the firmness, you're going to be able to add some more fluid into the mixer while you embalm, and be rest assured that that is going to mix thoroughly inside the tank, and then you're going to have a thoroughly mixed solution going into the body. Safety was very important. We got it UL CE certified. So the early prototypes, early builds, we sent out to a third party to get certified for safety. The outlets are safe, the electrical safety, user safety, and all of that's been certified to be able to sell throughout the US and around the world. We do have both 115 volt and 230 volt versions. And then also a big thing is we wanted to make it fun. So there are many colors available. White and black are standard, but You're gonna be able to get any color that you can think of. On our website, we have, if you choose a custom color, it's a little extra money, but you'll be able to choose from a RAL color chart and get any custom color that you want. So,
thank you, Brian.
yeah, you're welcome. So I wanted to, go through kind of the design, kind of how we, what we were thinking going into it. And so far we've been showing it off some trade shows, demoing it, and we've been getting really, really positive results. People seem to be pretty impressed. And there are many other little things, user interface, things that we added. Kind of one of the big benefits of designing something from the ground up. You get to make it more user-friendly, nicer. I think everyone else will have some of their experiences with it, and we'll be able to share. So thanks, Nelson.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks,
Now,
Brian.
to ask this question, John, do you feel, John, as an embalmer, I know you're a trained embalmer in Chicago, and are there any limitations that you used to notice from previous machines, something that you wish you would have had in your machine that this machine offers? Can you please share some of that with us?
Absolutely. It's just kind of ironic timing. Yesterday, I actually saw Brian at the Illinois Funeral Directors Convention in Tinley Park, and I was leaving there to go to a trade account and to embalm some remains. And while I was preparing my mixture, I didn't have a Frigid machine there. That funeral home doesn't own one yet. But in any case, I decided that I'd made my mixture up and everything like that, and looking at the remains. And as I was setting some features, I thought, I think I want a little bit more preservation. So I went and I reached for a bottle of Frigid Rigid. As a matter of fact, what I like to do is spike my fluid. So I added about 2/3 a bottle of Rigid into my 3-gallon tank on another machine. And I noticed the color, and it kind of sat at the top of the machine. And instantaneously, I thought to myself, this wouldn't be a problem if we're a Frigid machine, because we'd be mixing from the top down, not the bottom of the machine and flowing back into itself. I'm like, this isn't a true mixture. So what I did was I took the hose, and then I put it in the machine and open up the stopcock, and I just mixed it around that way. And I'm thinking, yeah, but here I am. I have to open up the lid. I'm exposing my chemicals. And again, I just thought this isn't a big problem if I had a Frigid machine. We wouldn't be talking about this, So that's a really good example of the kind of thinking that went into this machine. That it helps us, embalm and make better decisions, and be thorough about what we're doing, and actually then speed us up, so we're not doing things like putting the hose in the tank and wasting that time, or opening us up to the possibility of inhaling fumes in the room and things like that. So it's just really well thought out.
Thank you, John. Now, to ask Mel, who's also hosting here the webinar, Mel, did you ever consider using phenol-based fluids or cavity fluids in your tank for hypodermic injections?
Absolutely. So we have cases that we do for, what do you call it? Like bequest study, right? So they want those bodies to be really firm because they hold them for 2 years. So they actually ask us to put cavity fluid in our solution, and so I'm like, woo, we're gonna tear the machine up after a while, because it's just a duotronic. So this design is perfect for that, just knowing that you can put cavity fluid into the machine and it doesn't discard your warranty or anything like that. That's a major benefit for any trade embalmer, I believe, because as a trade embalmer, you also don't want to have to worry about your decedents once you've moved on to another location, or doing other work throughout the week. And if you decide to use cavity chemicals or cavity fluid, you want to make sure that it's not damaging that person's machine. So I really love that feature of this machine. And like John was saying, mixing your fluid, I always take my angle of forceps and I stir my solution up because it's sitting at the top. You can see how the fluid sits and it's not mixing from the top down. So yeah, using cavity chemicals or cavity fluid in your solution to me is necessary sometimes. And just knowing that you're not damaging, your most vital piece of equipment in the funeral home is definitely a plus. I think
it's not just any cavity fluid, right? I mean, it is any cavity fluid, right? It's not just Frigid products, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You
can
could
use
put that
any.
nasty green looking stuff in there, or that,
Yeah.
super 50 or whatever, and not going to damage the machine.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mel. And we have a comment here from Jim Maskin. He's saying, "This is why I'm here. I saw the ability for phenol-based fluids. I embalm anatomical bodies." So this is good. So Brian, would you mind explaining to Jim why we're able to do this in this machine, and the fact that he works with anatomical bodies that will help his operations?
Yeah, absolutely. It was years years of development, testing, every single component in the system. We literally dunked in phenol, straight ethylene dichloride, straight formaldehyde. So the raw chemicals, ensuring that they were going to be able to pass our tests. We've also had, for the past 2.5 years, our hydraulic system has been running in a lab, in our engineering lab. Once we had that design, we wanted to do life testing on the pump. So the pump, the hydraulic system. So that has been running for the 2.5 years, which based on normal usage, since everyone doesn't run their machine all the time, we've calculated equates to something like 10, 15 years of use, which makes me feel really good about the potential lifespan of the components inside the machine.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm good, Jim. Good thing. Do you know, Jim, you can type the answer in the chat. Do you know what color would you be getting the machine for your anatomical room if you're acquiring one? So John, would you like to talk a little bit about our data and data and the flow, the pressure? I know you're very passionate, because for everyone here, this is a machine designed and developed for the embalmer who wants to have full control of their embalming process. It gives you a lot of data. It's very precise, and that's something that John is going to talk about it now.
So we do have real time, because we have LED or LCD displays on the unit. We do have real time data, so exactly the rate of flow, exactly the pressure that you're working with. Okay, and you can see on the screen if you actually hit or encounter a blockage in the arterial system. So if you just watch the LCD display, you'll see the rate of flow fluctuate, but the pressure remain constant. So that right there tells you can see when you overcome the blockage and whatnot. So I really like that feature. Another thing that I really like is I embalm with warm water, warm or even sometimes hot water, depending upon the case and what I know from my pre-case analysis, especially if the remains have been refrigerated for a few days. But in any case, this will tell me the actual temperature of my solution that I'm mixing up, which is, to me, really nice. I personally think an optimum temperature is like right around close to blood, so 97, 98 degrees, but not scalding. So that's what I really like. Mel, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I like those digital screens as well, to let you know. It's so funny because it's like, oh wow, it's a new embalming machine that actually shows you what you have going on. Like everywhere that I've ever worked, and even at my own funeral home, and I'm sure everyone can attest to it, that you have at least one embalming machine in your prep room that just doesn't work gauge wise. So you don't know what the pressure is, you don't know what the flow is, you just kind of looking at what's coming out the cannula, or you kind of like set it at 20 pounds if you can, and judge the flow, depending on the case that you got, and which is really dangerous. You got to really, mess around with the machines when they're in that condition. So again, like, that's just another great feature, especially with the clot recognition, like letting you know when you've run into blockage in the arterial system. I think that's excellent, so that you can either, you can just address it however you decide to address it at that time, but you're not like looking around or doing something else, massaging the body, and not realizing that that's going on, which is what you run into using your old Duotronic or Portaboy, So I think it's really cool that it's a new embalming machine out on the market now that gives you all of that direct information to help you embalm better.
Yeah, I think you remember too that the old Portaboys or some of the other machines too, right? You used to have to buy a separate flow meter right? To put it on the end of the line,
Yeah,
you know, and that was the only way you could tell the flow. And it's like, no, you
that's
don't.
crazy.
That's
So
good.
yeah, that's definitely
Now,
definitely a great improvement to your prep room.
now
Yeah. Go ahead.
going back to the previous slide, Frederick had a question. He said, there has never been a machine able to withstand phenol-based fluids ever. My question is, what do you say to the more seasoned older embalmers who are set in their ways and feel like there's nothing like a portable or a duotronic, period? As a young professional, I embrace this machine, but the older embalmers, their minds are hard to change. And this is, Frederick, something that I pretty much do every day with my job as a director of sales of Frigid. It's really hard to change their minds, not only of embalmers, but anyone who's been in this planet for longer than we had. So I will recommend you to guide them to one of our customers or one of our lead embalmers to help them understand of the value of this machine. We do have customers that are currently using this machine. Some of them have a strong presence on social media and they love the machine. Sometimes old habits are hard to change, but the majority of the time that they change those old habits, it's for a severe improvement. If anybody else in the team has any words for that here.
I think Damon does.
Yeah,
Let me see. Yeah.
I would add, it's also, you know, I know I'm not designing the machine for everyone, right? Like
Yeah.
we want the people who want it and are going to find the best benefit from it. I think to me, the best thing with, you know, quote unquote old heads is to listen to them. They want to be listened to and they want to be heard, and you know, let them speak out. And I think that's the best thing you can do, is hear them out. They have insight. Maybe they don't feel like they need it, but you hear them out first, and then you tell them why you think you know, why this machine is great. And ultimately, if you both listen to each other, I think he'll end up hearing you out about all these benefits of this machine. And I think that's a great way to go about it.
And try to get them to come by the booth. Oh, my bad, Damon. I was gonna say, try to get them to come by the booth when we're at conventions so they can actually see it in person and see it in action.
Yeah, Matt, I would say I was just at the Illinois show, and a lot of people, older embalmers, very impressed by it.
Yeah,
in
they're
person.
intrigued when they see it in person.
Yeah, they see all the benefits. They see that it was a lot of thought was put into it. We listened first to all the embalmers, how we designed it. We surveyed over, I think over 1,000 people, but we heard back from about 108 embalmers who had a very thorough survey that we sent out. And then we took the insight from our active embalmers who work with us. So it really was an effort where we listened because we had to. That's in my opinion, that's the best way to design something new.
Yeah, I have heard that a lot, that, you know, older embalmers or people that are seasoned will say something like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they're very tenacious in their way. And just based on some of the discussion I've heard already today, I mean, embalming machines are broke. If you can't use them to inject the chemicals that are designed for embalming, then it's not really an embalming machine and it's not working. So that would sort of be my argument. The second one I think Mel touched on, when you look at dials that are bouncing around, you have no idea what your pressure is or what your flow is. And a machine doesn't actually even have a gauge for flow. So you have to attach some ancillary thing. It is broke and it does need to be fixed. So that's sort of what I would say. But again, I'm used to people saying to me that you're creating too much change. And actually, no. I mean, our field needs to push forward, needs more technology, and Frigid Fluid is bringing that. So that's what I would say. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. And Frederick agreed with you. He said exactly. So hopefully that helps, Frederick. Michael Murray asked, how long does it take to receive the machine once ordered? So all machines, once they're ordered right now, we're in a 12 weeks lead time. Is that correct, Brian?
Yeah, so we just started shipping the past month, and we've gotten a lot of orders. So we've shipped about 40 of them so far. We have about another 40 to go. So right now we're saying about 12-week lead time when they come in. But at the moment, it should hopefully shorten as we get used to ramping this production up.
Yeah, and the price, Michael, is $48.60 for the black and white colors, If you want any other color, there's an extra $450. Prices will be going up in September to about $5,500 for the black and the white, and then an extra $450 for the other colors.
Yeah, so to add to that, the price increase going up, we're essentially using the materials that I bought from about a year and a half ago, building these early machines. So yeah, just the prices have gone up on the raw materials, so had to bring the price up a bit.
That's basically one funeral service for most
Yeah.
funeral homes. Like I think for the majority of funeral homes.
Right.
So I think it's a great investment.
Some owners will think nothing about buying, you know, a hearse today is easily $120,000 investment.
Mhm.
Well, I
By
think the price is competitive and it's less than some machines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
If
for
you're in
this
the
one,
market for a machine, it's what you're gonna pay.
yeah,
but
no,
this-
that's something I was really proud of, that we were able to hit that price point and still be able to bring all these advancements to the machine and still stay within that range of I think the Dodge machine, which is I think at this point it's about 20 years old, right? I think the last one they did,
The last iteration's probably about that. Yeah,
15,
probably
something
about
like
20.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so designing today and we're still able to hit that kind of right near that price point of kind of Dodge's best machine, quote unquote. So
so
yeah, I was really happy about that.
customer is asking Brian, if there is an issue, how does it get repaired, and what is the turnaround time for repairs?
Yeah, good question. So there is a loaner.
Sorry. And also she asked, how long is the warranty and what does it cover? Can we purchase parts on our own? Are they available? What is the lifespan of this machine for like a company like, let's say, Rose Hills in California? And what are the machines? What if the machines are running all day? And Jorge, so before you answer that, Brian, Jorge right here, he's our manager in Mexico. And Jorge embalms several bodies per day. And he's been using his machine for about 5 months now, nonstop every day. And so we do have a lot of customers that are as busy as you will be. But here's that, Brian, with your complete answer.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as I mentioned, once we had the hydraulic system designed and kind of intact, we have been lifespan testing that for the last about 2 years. So that is running in our engineering lab that we've been developing the machine that constantly for the past 2 years. So I'm very confident that the pumps, the solenoids, the hydraulic system, the pipes, those will last you a very long time. So again, nobody's running it constantly for 2 years in a row. So I would say that's something like 8 to 10 years of use. The parts will be available to order through Frigid. So everything, I should mention, everything is made here in our shop, literally upstairs in our office is our assembly plant. So a guy named Darwin is making all those, and he has an email, em@frigidfluid.com. So you'd be
I'm
able to
typing that right now.
yeah, you'll be able to email him, contact him. He does the repairs, the assembly, and yeah, the parts will be available. As far as repair goes, we have a loaner program. So since we have early prototypes, development machines, we have loaners that are available. So if you have an issue within the 2-year warranty period, we will send you a loaner. You'll send the machine back, we'll fix it, and then get it back to you at no cost to you for the shipping. What else was?
And also just the same way that we have the casket lowering device service department, we will have a team that is able to like guide you through any like parts that you might be able to change yourself. As you can see in the picture there, this machine is well designed and all those parts are would you talk a little bit about that, Brian?
Yeah. So those tubes, so we design in a way, we use this new kind of plumbing, quote unquote, technology called push to connect. So a lot of those solenoids, valves are accessible via push to connect. So you can just push it, pull it out, and then switch things out. So they're not, it's a little cramped in there, but it's not too hard even to switch yourself. So components will be available. You will be able to buy those things over time. But
if you can go back.
the warranty covers any manufacturing defects. But if it's user error, yeah, you'll have to user damage, you'll have to fix that yourself. But again, there's nothing where we say, oh, you can't use, obviously you can use any chemical you want. So there's not going to be any situation where we're going to tell you, oh, you used phenols, we can't fix this. Like,
Or if you don't use Frigid.
operators tell
Or
us.
if you use Frigid with silicone, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Can you go back one more slide? I just want to make a couple comments on the repairs. The ability to repair the machine is really nice. How many people out there have a machine that's non-operational and their person that repairs their machine has either passed away or is no longer repairing machines? And I know that I've run into that for, I've been involved in 30 years. And that's a really common thing. When Brian was talking about the push to pull to connect, if you look at the clear tubes underneath the machine there in the bottom view of that machine, those blue and green circular things that go around those clear hoses, those just slip into position, and that's the push to connect and pull to connect. And I recently went under a machine, and I don't have the largest hands. I think Brian's hands are probably bigger than mine. And we were both able to get in there and just kind of pull them apart and show people at an expo in Europe how easy it is to maneuver around in there. It's not like going under the hood of a modern car where you can't get in there. So you can actually make you can do the repairs yourself. And then you don't have a derelict machine sitting around your funeral home like many of us probably have. How many of us know mortuary science students that have machines at their house with like a fish in it or something that they, it's no longer an embalming machine because it doesn't work. So I think that's a really great feature.
Yep. Yeah, that's something really nice. And again, the ability to design something from the ground up enables you to make those design choices to be able to do that. And then, but also it's easy to ship back to us, and we can obviously take care of any repairs that maybe you don't want to do as well. So happy to do either way.
It's not heavy either. And I was really impressed with that. Like other machines, you pick up and it's like, oh, I don't think I picked it up right because your back started hurting or something crazy. But I was lifting this machine the other day and I was like, it's like it's nothing there. It's really light. So I thought that was pretty cool too, for it to still have all these neat mechanics to it and operation to it, but it's not as heavy as the older machines are. So I see that as a plus with like.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Mel. Yeah, that was something we took into account when we designed it, was the kind of the footprint of it. So we wanted to make sure it wasn't too tall, wasn't too heavy.
Right.
And then also something that you don't hear is even when I was demoing it at the Illinois show, I was always mentioning how, hey, look at us talking at a normal volume. We don't have to yell when we talk to each other when the machine's running because it actually is quiet.
Right.
So you don't have to kind of yell in the prep room, which is really nice.
And don't forget, Brian, what happens if the power goes out while you're embalming? I mean, that's real, right?
That's really
2 a.m. in a thunderstorm and the power goes out in the building. I'm embalming by the emergency lights. Well, that may be an issue with other machines, not this machine, right?
Yeah, John, great point. Not something I didn't mention. It does have a gravity embalm feature. So that is something in those surveys that we heard about that people responded and said it'd be really nice to be able to gravity embalm with it, because some machines don't allow that. So in the offsetting, you are able to actually gravity embalm with this machine.
That is excellent. Some of the certifications, we had a presentation in Missouri, and as you know, this machine will be it's being sold actually all over the world. Mel, talking back to the weight and dimensions of the embalming machine, you can actually take that machine as a luggage if you're flying to another country, because the dimensions qualify on the airline standard, which is what we've been doing for trade shows. But also there are other certifications. The machine has a 2-year warranty because we sell that in the European Union, and that's one of their requirements, not only the testing, but also having a 2-year warranty. Brian, would you mind sharing a little bit of the customer that had 3 embalming machines from another company who had to get their own certifications in order to have a operational prep room?
Oh, well, my understanding, it was something around the GFI plug, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they had bought another machine. I think it was a Dodge machine. Dodge didn't get theirs certified So I think it's the UTL or ETL certification for electrical fire, like outlet safety. Obviously, I think most people know a lot of states require GFI outlets in the prep room because you're dealing with chemicals, you're dealing with water. And I guess this inspector was a little more strict than others they had faced, and they were kind of trying to make sure that all of the equipment inside their prep room was also GFI rated and certified. They found out that it wasn't because they called the manufacturer. They had to pay a fine and then had to, I think, do some retrofitting of their machine, the outlets on their machine after the fact. So that's something that you won't run into if you have that strict inspector come to your prep room. So it's something you can rest assured that we have done all the testing, and you can kind of see some of the pictures here. That's the engineering lab that I told you guys about. You can see the photos there. That bottom right photo is actually that early hydraulic system we've been time trialing and lifespan testing for the past 2 years. So kind of behind that machine is the full hydraulic system, and then the tubing, and then the tank. So that has literally been running for the past 2 years, and it's been doing great.
Excellent. All right. So is the machine reliable? A lot of people ask.
There you go. I just told you. Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked about that. We talked about the loaner program, the YouTube videos for repairs. The machine was designed, the 2-year warranty. Brian, is there any feedback that you received yesterday from like customers? Would you mind also sharing, Brian, the feedback that you received from the customer, I believe in Missouri, who loves having the temperature feature for their edema cases?
I don't know about edema, but I think, are you talking about one of the early adopters of the machine?
Yes.
McFarland down there? Yeah. So he was lucky enough to get one of the early machines. And he has, I think, had it about 9 months or almost a year now. And he's been super happy with it. I ran into him at the NFDA show, talking to him about the machine. He said he's really enjoyed it. One thing he mentioned without me prompting it or asking it, he said he found out that he really likes 30 pressure, 30 flow, and around 85, 90 degree temperature, which I thought was really neat because, it was unprompted. That was kind of how we designed it for them he said he kind of messed around with it and he found out he was getting the best results. And he never knew that before. It was always kind of look at, like Mel was saying, look at what's coming out of the cannula, kind of guess at the pressure and the flow. And it was really neat to hear him say that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Beautiful. All right. So that is good. So as you can see here with Brian,
Nelson, I want to just jump in really quick. It's, what Brian just said is pretty interesting. If we took a show of hands here, most people would say they like to inject with warm water, but they don't know what, you can't quantify warm. It's sort of a quality. And that's not a problem if you are the embalmer that's always doing the injecting. But when you have an apprentice you're working with and you say use warm water, if you've ever said that to an apprentice, they're like, what do you mean by warm? Like you might look over and the embalming machine has steam coming out of it because they've got hot water in there. So those kinds of metrics are just really good, and they really help. They help apprentices or new embalmers to your firm. And also the digital readouts, which are specific and accurate, are really helpful in the same situation, as opposed to saying to again, an apprentice, you want about 30 pounds of pressure, and they look and the pin's going like this, and like 30 is sort of in the middle. So we're just going to assume that's where it's at. And just an average of like 20 to 40, it's got to be 30. So all of those metrics are really helpful for not just you, but also people you're training or people that you're onboarding.
Damon, that's awesome. That's a really great insight. Yeah. Thinking and that was the idea, the whole insight, data, information, and figuring out how to standardize how you handle certain cases. So that's, and the training, you're exactly right. Now you have numbers that you can pass on, and you can tell them how to embalm the way you want it. It's great.
Excellent. Now, I believe this is the last slide. If anybody has any questions, please type it in the chat section. Again, please stay connected with us via social media. There's our website. Here you can see the entire team. There's Mel, Brian, John, Damon, myself. We're here to help you. We make the embalming machine in-house at Frigid. We also make all of our embalming chemicals in-house, and we have full control of all of our products. So if you're trying our products, if you're interested in knowing more about Frigid, somebody's asking here, what is a good rate of flow and pressure setting from a default user? Who wants to answer that?
Well, on the eye of the beholder, personally, you know, I mean, I embalm with extremely high pressure and slow rates of flow. So I know the machine can go up to 100 pounds.
To 100, yeah, 103, and then it'll like turn red, and it'll, at 105, it has a shut off.
Shut off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
the flow range is 0 up to 80.
yeah. So I start with a, you know, high pressure, slow rate of flow, and then work it up there based upon how I'm seeing distribution in the remains or in the tissues, you know. So you know, again, it's all in the eye of the beholder. I have found though that using high pressure and a little low rate of flow does not distort features. Okay, if anything, it takes a multi-point injection, takes it down to a single point injection. So
Yeah. I'm sort of the opposite. And I will never, it's so hard to say what's right or wrong. I'm just slow and low, and I just always have been. I generally will use 12 to 15 ounces per minute for the injection, for the flow. And my pressure is at about 20, maybe 25. I'm pretty low.
Great. Brian, a customer is asking what kind of connection it's on the hose of the cannula.
It's the standard connection. It's a 1232 female threaded hub. So all of it's the industry standard. If you have a high pressure hose or high pressure machine, or the screw-in cannulas, it'll fit on our machine.
And don't forget it's magnetic. It has the magnetic feature as well, so your cannula won't fall all over the place.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
well, for the adapters, right? I'm sorry.
Right here.
Yeah. What's really nice is I know about the design of the hose and the input on the design of the hose. I know at this point in time, we're all using high pressure hoses on our embalming machines. And we've all probably experienced how the high pressure hose will pull on the vessel and can damage the vessel. And so what you do is you hook the hose between toes or somewhere along the table to keep it from pulling too much on the artery. This hose has 2 swivel points in it. So it actually, the arterial tuber cannula will rotate in position so the hose doesn't distort it in the artery, which is pretty nice. Now, those 2 swivel points are actually, they're separated. There's high pressure hose, and in between them is a bit of clear high pressure hose. So you can actually see that your solution is flowing through the hoses on the machine. Those also use those push pulls, so they come out real quick, very quickly. So what I like to do is I like to get 3 arterial sizes. I get the radial, that medium one, and a 5/8 arterial tube or cannula. And I get 3 of the short high pressure hoses, and I lace them all, you know, like 1, 2, 3. And whenever I need a different one, I just slide it in real quick. That makes for really, it's even quicker than the lure lock junctions. Right. Or the, you know, the quick release that's really popular right now. That's kind of a big component. You have to press a button and the arterial tubes pop out. I mean, the popping out is kind of fun, but that's really heavy, and I find it pulls down on the arteries. These are very, Brian's got it now. These are very light. It's just hose. It's just the hose itself, and you can't get any lighter than the hose. And then you just have air. But Brian, if you could just show how quickly that end your left hand is on, how quickly that pulls out.
Yeah, so that can turn. It spins around. And it does come with a built-in stopcock, so you have to buy an extra stopcock. The stopcock comes with it. This is what we're calling the sight line. So we're gonna at the body, you're gonna be able to see the flow of the liquid, the solution come through here. Mm-hmm. And then this is the push to connect that's used in the system and on the hose. So you just press down, you're able to pop off. that end there.
If you can you hold the threaded end up sort of to your camera? What I do is, there you go. It's just a regular threading, like a normal stopcock or a slip hub, and your arterial tubes just dial right into that. And I just get 3 of those extensions, and then I have my 3 arterial tubes. So I just slide them in and out super quick. If I'm doing a post and I go from the lower extremities to the head or something of that nature, it's just a real quick exchange.
I think the recommendation is that however many cannulas you have, you get a hose for it.
I gotta say, when I was studying accounting in college, I never thought I'd be demoing an embalming hose and on on Zoom call. So, but here we are. Pretty cool, right?
So
Yeah.
Weston is asking, so the push to connect is part of the hose that comes with the machine?
Correct.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes.
So this is the hose that comes with sight line. It's got a stopcock at the end. Comes standard with every machine. Sight line, push to connect, and then the hose end, and then the standard connection at the end. So all the cannulas that are available, and that's a standardized thread. So every cannula that you buy, it'll be able to fit on there.
And again, I recommend that you buy extra, ends where for however many cannulas you have, including your hypo valve. Okay. Because then all you have to do is just connect it to your hypo valve. You can put your cavity fluid in the tank, right? And then you can hypodermically inject into the thoracic cavity your cavity fluid, out of your hypodermic needle or your trocar.
Trocar, yeah.
Trocar.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about that is now you're not holding up a bottle using gravity. And yesterday I was doing that. I had cavity fluid coming down all over me. I had on my apron. You're not going to have that issue. So it's safe. And, again, that's the beauty of having multiple connectors.
Right.
Here is a question. How can we keep, from a default user, how can we keep African American disease from turning darker? Is it a matter of rate of flow and pressure? It's a question.
So.
Yeah, to you guys. So what do you think, man?
Say that it's not, it's fluid selection.
Yeah, that's
Fluid-
a
That would be the dye, right?
Well, it's not just the dye, it's also going to be some of the other additives. So
Right.
some of, like, if you dehydrate any person too much, it changes their color a little bit to like a lighter color because it's dehydrating, you're losing some moisture. So you want to add humectants to keep the tissue moist. Also, what's going to be important is buffers. And what happens a lot is formaldehyde will interact with melanin, and it converts that color of melanin to a gray color. So it's like that formaldehyde gray that everybody has seen with postmortem stain. The same thing is happening with melanin. And a good way to overcome that is to have good distribution of the fluid, because what ends up happening a lot of times is with formaldehyde gray, you tend to see the fluid settling in the dependent parts of the body where the blood did. If African Americans are turning a darker color, that could be because your distribution is getting to where your capillaries are in the skin and not evenly distributing through the body. And I will give a plug here for our fluids, even though we're talking about machines. Our fluids have up to 4 surfactants, including silicone, triethanolamine, diethanolamine, and lanolin even acts as a surfactant. And those chemicals will actually help your distribution be more efficient than chemicals that don't have good surfactants in them. So if you're currently using a chemical that you observe like a splotchiness with the dye distribution, that means your chemical isn't evenly distributing. And what we've heard that from other users. I've been embalming 30 years. I've seen it with other chemical companies, and our frigid chemicals don't do that. You get really even distribution. So that helps offset your fluid being sequestered to a particular area like the skin and turning tissue darker. I mean, and dye helps. There's all the components really help.
Yeah. Thank you, Damon. Yeah, and that is something that we worked on our webinar. So if you want to know more about surfactant, humectants, or everything that it's in our chemicals, sign up in our webinars or come to one of the seminars near you. A customer is asking, Brian, throwing an extra hose if we buy today? So that will be a Brian's answer.
I love it. No, sadly, sadly, you just gotta buy it as is. It does come with a stopcock though, so great deal there.
Yes, yes. It comes with that. A gentleman here saying, can't wait to get mine. I ordered mine a few weeks ago, so thank you very much. That is great. I noticed you
Awesome,
asked.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And then just the colors, the different color assortment. Like when you go into the prep room, you know, some of them look so dingy and dead, and it's like the color variation that's available. I think is really neat because when you're in the prep room, sometimes you're just looking. You want something to pop or to like help with your mood or help with the day. Like colors do a lot for people's mentality, you know, and for your vibe, as they say these days. So I think with them coming in so many different colors, or you being able to custom have it customized to, you know, like team logos or team colors that you might like, or you know, something to even remind you or to commemorate a person that has died that you used to, you know, love or have in life. I think that's a really neat option that's available with this machine as well.
What I like about the options on the colors is I'm an educator. I work with, you know, at least 100 students a year, and I'm pretty involved with social media. And one thing that is pretty consistent with all funeral service people is we like to be individuals and we have our own identities and we are creative. And I really love working with a creative group of people that we are. And, you know, at some point we get to say, and that's today, we get to say, hey, I get to use whatever embalming machine I want, whatever color I want, and it can be specific to me, as opposed to I just get the design that they hand me that also I can't use all my fluids on because it'll burn it out because they're using rubber gaskets that will deteriorate. And so I void my warranty and then I get to throw it in the trash, and it can't be repaired very easily. And it doesn't have really good displays and digital monitors. It won't tell me the temperature. And I get it in the color I want, and it's safer because the lid closes. Oh, and it's got top mixing down. So I don't have uneven distribution where I'm either injecting water and really concentrated fluid. So it's the homogeneous mixture that I created. Yeah, I think I want to be that embalmer. I am that professional, and I want it in turquoise. So there you go. I love it.
Turquoise and nice. Good choice.
Customer here is saying the price of this machine is for what it does. The price of this machine for what it does is actually low. I think Frigid has given quite a bit already in the pricing. So thank you for everything.
That's nice of you to say. Thank you.
That is something
that's how I feel. So yeah.
I know there's a high pressure machine out there that goes, I think, up to 120. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really use high pressure, goes to 120 pounds. And that goes for $7 grand, I think. So I think we're way under that.
Wow.
Yes. So that being said, there is another session today at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. We will have participants from other countries. Again, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Mel and John. We have another question here. Do you ship to Ireland? And do you have a plug for Ireland? Yes, we do. Not only have a plug, we do have a machine that has a 20 volts, and it has imperial units for your embalming. So
metric.
Nelson,
it has metric.
Yeah,
but in Ireland they use imperial. Who is that? Who asked that question?
So I should say it does switch to metric. There's a dip switch on the circuit board, so it can go to metric, so liters per minute, and then the pressure is kPAs, and then also it comes in 230 volt with the custom EU plug, so it's kind of the international version.
Thank you. That was Damon. That was Siboa.
Yeah. Hey, Siobhan, I worked with Dave McGowan for a year and a half in the 90s up in County Mayo.
Beautiful. He said, we use liters in Ireland.
Yeah.
So you can use metric.
Yep. So just when you order it, let us know that you need metric, and we'll convert it to that, and the readouts will all be in metric.
And we ship the machine worldwide, just like we do the casket lowering device. We do have a company that will take that from our factory in Chicago to your location, either door to door or the nearest port, depending on what's more comfortable to you. If anybody else has any other questions, you can put it in the chat section. Again, I believe there is a gentleman who had some technical issues, so and I'm gonna put my phone number in the chat or my email, so everybody can, if you have any questions. And Sanchez, Frigid.
Because you recorded the whole thing, right, Nelson?
Yeah, it's been recorded, and we can also set up Zoom meetings with everyone that's interested. Again, we did spend a lot of time building this machine. There's been a lot of resources and efforts in building a machine that is for you. We listen to you. We're delivering the machine to you. So if you're hesitant about trying this machine, I will recommend you to try. Just like our embalming chemicals, 90+% of the embalmers that use our chemicals for the first time, they stick with it. So give us a try on the embalming machine as well. And any other comments from anybody else in the team?
Thanks everyone for joining us to get
Yeah,
some
yeah.
insight.
For your interest, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it feels really good to have all this interest in the machine. Like I said, when I've been going around demoing it, a lot of people have been very, very impressed by it. Pleasantly surprised by the design, by the quality of it, and then all the functionality of it. So thanks for your interest, and yeah, embalm better, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead and follow us on social media. Like Damon says, stay curious, everyone.
Stay curious, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.